Hi, and welcome to the first video on first setup. In this video we're going to go through the basics of patch creation as well as the UV setup on those patches, in which we'll use a script to try and save some time on that. What we have here is just a basic rigged arm. We have a IK arm setup on here, as it's just got a joint here for the twist. And driving this mesh we have a basic muscle system, and that has some animation cached down on it as well. The first thing you're going to want to do is duplicate this geometry. Make sure that you keep it clean throughout the process, deleting your history and such. And we're going to start cutting out some patches for this. There's a number of ways to do that. You can select by face and extract. You can go to edge and grab edge loops like this and detach components and separate that way. Whichever way works best for you is fine. But the most important thing to note is, I'll show you the patches I've already created here, is that you want to keep these nice and square. As much as possible, going along 4x4, 6x6, 8x8, something along those lines. Wouldn't take it too big, because first going to look at the normal or the UV space on these polygons, or on the UVs, as far as how much fur it's going to place on that, the density of it. And you're also going to want to overlap this front face here. Notice how the faces on these overlap, as well as the seam is offset on both the top and the bottom, and that's so we don't end up with this grid pattern going on with the fur. With longer fur you won't have as much of an issue, but with shorter fur it definitely can start to look a little odd, patchwork. That being said, what you're going to want to do is, after you create the patches, again, make sure that you're freezing your transforms, deleting your history as you go along, is we're going to do the UVs on this. And if you look at the UVs where they are right now, they're exactly where they were on the mesh whenever the UVs were created originally, whenever you extracted this arm off to create the patches. The problem is that these aren't nearly large enough. We're going to want to maximize this space, take it all the way to the border, and you're going to want to do this on every single patch. This is probably the most tedious process, definitely the least fun, but it has to be done, and it's very, very important. So what we're going to do is run a script, and this is going to unfold, relax, normalize these UV patches, make them as big as possible for us. It's not going to rotate them or anything like that. And it's just going to get us in the ballpark, make less work for us to have to do, and we'll only have actually just one or two steps that we'll have to do after this. It is sometimes hard, depending on how the patches is, the topology, like a star junction here, to get these perfectly square patches. But just do the best you can with it. And what you're going to want to do is grab the UVs and hold X to grid snap these down to the corners. It's very, very important that you don't have any overlapping UVs. It's very easy to have another junction here, or like another edge loop coming in, and you would have a UV here but not going across. Just depends on how the edge flow is, how you made your patches. And then you can grab those and put two verts right on top of each other. It's very, very, very important that you don't do that, because it'll cause problems later. What we're actually going to do at the beginning of the next video is run a script that'll kind of check our work on that to make sure that we don't have any. We're going to run through here and run a unfold on everything, and if nothing moves, we know that we don't have any overlapping UVs. If it does, that means that the UVs were overlapped somewhere, and we're going to have to fix that. But it's usually you can go through on the first try and pretty much get it without any problems at all. After you have them all snapped out pretty even there, we're going to go to polygons, relax. You can see we ended up with a nice, really uniform layout of our UVs. And we're going to want to go through and do that on all of our patches. Whenever you finish, you are going to want to, again, delete history, freeze transforms, if you're wanting to get rid of, unless you're going to use it for something. Get rid of these poly tweaks, poly normalize on these patches. Less history is usually the better if you don't need it. As far as this goes, it'll save us some hassle later on. So go ahead and go through there and do that, and we'll pick up on the next video where we'll go through applying the fur and the general settings on the basic setup of that.